We're back with another podcast and another very special guest. Let me introduce today Lorena Corral. Thank you, Lorena.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're so glad to have you in studio and really excited to learn some stuff and to help spread awareness about opioid addiction, overdoses, and how we can combat overdoses. So if somebody takes an illicit opioid drug, like let's say heroin or like a medication, and they've taken too much and they've overdosed, they're on the ground dying right in front of you. Is there anything that can be done to save their life? So if somebody takes an illicit opioid drug, like let's say heroin or like a medication, and they've taken too much and they've overdosed, they're on the ground dying right in front of you. Is there anything that can be done to save their life?
Absolutely, Matt. There is a medication called Naloxone. Everybody recognizes it as Narcan. So Narcan is a medication that will reverse an opioid overdose. And so it's actually been helping save millions and millions of lives every single day.
Millions.
Yes, absolutely.
That's incredible. So you got to hear more about this, guys. We're going to jump to a sponsor and then we'll be right back and we're going to hear Lorena's elevator pitch and more about this incredible life-saving medication. All right, see you in a second. Are you looking to elevate your brand with custom headwear? Custom business hats. For high-quality, customized hats. Perfect for any business need. Whether it's for company branding or distinctive merchandise, we ensure that your brand gets the attention it deserves. Plus, we offer free quotes to help you get started. Visit our website at custombusinesshats.com. Custom Business Hats. We've got you covered. Hey guys, pardon the interruption, but if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button to show your support, we'd be very appreciative. Now back to the episode. All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, Lorena, give us your elevator pitch. Tell us who you are, what you do, who you're with, that kind of deal.
So my name is Lorena Corral. I am the ARCCorp project director at ADACCV, and ARCCorp stands for the Rural Communities Opioid Response Program.
Nice.
I've been the project director going on a year, but I've been with ADACCV for going on 3 years this year.
Very nice. 3 years.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, so Lorena, tell us a little bit, since we kind of touched on it already, and we're going to probably jump around a little bit here, but let's talk about Narcan, which is Naloxone is the actual medication in Narcan, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So what is it exactly and what does it do?
So it's a reversal agent. Okay. So what it does is that we have these receptors in our brain. And so when someone is taking a medication and it may be way too much for their body, what it'll put somebody into an overdose. The great thing is that there's Naloxone, also known as Narcan, which you insert it through their nose and reverses the opioid back. So it'll kick off the opioid that's in those receptors to try to bring that person back.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you don't know this, I mean, a lot of people have heard of it, but some people don't know the extent to which how effective it is.
Absolutely.
Because if somebody is near death, right, and they're going into respiratory failure because of an opioid, you can administer Narcan through the nasally, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so
it'll bring them out of it.
Yeah, so I actually brought just a demonstration.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
So what it is, it comes in a package. Okay. So it is Narcan, also known as Naloxone. And so if anybody has taken like Flonase or anything, you just insert it through the nasal. Doesn't go anywhere else, doesn't go through the nose or through the mouth, because in a flight or fight mode, you kind of forget what to do.
That's right.
And so all you do is you insert it through the nose and you push this pink little plunge and then wait about 6 seconds and start rescue breathing.
Okay.
Now, rescue breathing is different than CPR breathing.
Oh, how so? Interesting.
Yes. And so with rescue breathing is what this kit also has is going to be a face shield. So this face shield, you put it on top of the person's mouth and then you blow air into their airway. So a lot of times with CPR, of course, you're pushing. But with this one, the rescue breathing is going to be very important. So you're blowing air 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and then you blow air again
Okay.
until they start to wake
So
up.
no chest compressions?
No chest
Okay.
compressions, no.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's very important.
Okay.
But the biggest question is people are like, well, how can I tell the difference between an opioid overdose and a heart attack?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes you just see somebody who's laying on the floor and you're like, okay, well, is this person, are they having a heart attack? Are they just sleeping?
That's right.
What is going on?
How do you know? Yeah.
And so the important thing is learning how to identify the signs and the symptoms of an opioid overdose. So the most common one are going to be dilated pupils.
Okay.
And the body's going to feel cold and clammy. It's going to be very limp. Another thing is that the lips and the nails are going to be turning bluish, purplish color.
Okay.
They won't be able to be woken up, or you'll hear a gurgling, snoring sound.
Right.
At times there is saliva coming out of their mouth.
Okay.
And so at that point, you grab Narcan and you insert it into their nose and automatically start the rescue breathing.
Okay.
So
I see. So I've heard of there being times when someone is taken way too much and they need more than one. Is that true in some cases?
at sometimes it is. And
Okay.
so a lot of times what happens is that they don't wait for those 6 seconds.
Oh, okay. I
So
see.
that's going to be the important part about it.
Right.
One should be enough, but if not, then 2 is good. So a lot of times someone will go, of course, in a panic mode. You want this person to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
So you insert it. They don't wake up and sleep. So you insert another one, you insert another one, but you don't wait for that time frame of about 6 seconds.
Right. I see. Okay.
And so
You gotta wait.
once you're at maybe the 3rd Narcan, you barely let the first one go into effect.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And so
yeah.
that's why people are like, oh, well, they didn't wake up until the 3rd one.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I hear
no,
that a
it's-
lot sometimes. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because you didn't wait for
I
the
see.
first one to officially kick
That
in.
makes sense.
Yes.
Because essentially what it's doing is that receptor that you're talking about, I think it's actually called the mu receptor, MU receptors, that opioid is attaching to the receptor. And if it's in most opioids, it's going to be a perfect fit, right? And if
Yes.
there's too much and it's caused respiratory failure, that Narcan or Naloxone goes
Yes.
in and it kicks it off the receptor.
Absolutely.
And so it's not like it's just kicking part of it. It kicks the whole thing off, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so what is interesting is somebody who's overdosed like that and you've given them this medication, they come back to where they're completely back to normal pretty much, right?
Well, and that's
Or
the
not.
other misconception
Oh,
is
is it?
that
Okay.
they don't automatically just come back. Like they don't
See, I
just
didn't
like
know
wake
that.
up
Okay.
and they're like, okay, cool, I'm going to keep on going with my day.
Educate me on that. I didn't know
No,
that. Okay.
so the most important thing is that once they're woken up, you need to put them on either the left or right side. I've learned
Okay.
that at this point,
Good
it's either one or the
advice.
other,
Uh-huh.
but you are supporting the head and you are picking up on the knee so that they don't continue to roll over.
Okay.
Because the thing is, the only thing about the Narcan, it's that the symptoms after it, the after effect is what's going to get the person even more.
Oh, wow.
So-
okay.
When they're waking up, they may be throwing up, they may be
Okay.
groggy, they may not know what happened.
Interesting.
But it's very important to automatically call 911
Yes,
because once you are giving them the Narcan, if they're not getting help within like at least 90 seconds,
Mhm.
they can reverse back to their overdose. Yes. So,
This is really good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
so it's
that's
very,
huge.
very important to
Yeah.
make sure that they call 911. The great thing about these kits is that it comes with a action plan.
Okay.
So, of course, the action plan is doing a sternal rub. So, a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what a sternal rub is. So, it's going to be right here on your chest, and you're going to keep rubbing up and down. If you do it to yourself and it hurts, it's because you've already applied too much pressure.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
it doesn't need to be a lot.
Yeah.
But it's definitely making sure that you call 911
Okay.
because they can revert back to their overdose.
Yes.
So
Know
it's very
that.
important. So if you have somebody around you who's helping you, great. Have that person call 911, let them know where you're at, how much you've already administered of Narcan, and how long it's been.
Okay.
Sometimes they're not always going to want help, but it's important to at least call 911
For sure.
and help them get the help that they need because they can revert back to their overdose.
Very good to know.
Yes.
Very good to know. So also, is it another misconception? I've heard that with this medication, when you bring someone out of an overdose like that, it puts them into withdrawal. Is that true? I'm just
So
curious.
it is kind of like a withdrawal. Like
Okay,
they're
yeah.
going to be kind of throwing up.
Yeah, okay.
Again,
Interesting.
it's going to be different for every person.
Okay.
Some people, I've heard stories that, EMS, like, yeah, we've administered to somebody and they wake up fighting me
Yeah. Yeah, I've
because
heard
they're
that,
like,
yeah.
what did you just do?
Exactly. Yeah.
Other times they're not going to know what's going on.
Okay, I see.
But it's very important that once you administer Narcan, they're waking up like, hey, you just had an overdose.
Okay.
Don't get up right away. We've just called 911. And just kind of let them lay there for a little bit, let them know who you are, and making sure that the area is clear. Because that's another important thing. I don't know if you've passed out, but I know I've passed out and I've waken up to so many faces.
Yeah. I have before. Yeah.
What are y'all doing?
Scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
And so the most important thing is making sure that 1, there's no judgment, 2, that you're there to help, and 3, identifying who you are so that they know that you're not trying to harm anyone.
Okay. That's great.
So, yes,
That's
absolutely.
Very cool. So where can you get Narcan at right now?
So right now you can go to your local Walmart, H-E-B, CVS, Walgreens, and they have Narcan up on the shelves. They're about $40.
Okay, $40.
Yes, and so each package will come with two Narcan.
Oh, you get 2 of them. That's great. Okay.
You get 2, so that's a pretty great deal.
Yeah, it is.
The great thing about my program at ADAC is that I've been able to help and provide Narcan kits to anyone who may need one for free.
Really?
Yes.
Maybe people who need this medication in their home. Where can they get it if they can't afford it through your program? How do they go about doing that?
Yes. So what they'll do is they'll just kind of call ADAC and say like, hey, is it okay that I can go by and get a Narcan kit?
Nice.
I typically will do 1 per family.
Okay.
Because again, we just kind of have limited, but we try to get as much as we can. I'm federally funded.
Nice.
So we are able to get Narcan and kind of keep the flow of it. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything's getting super expensive.
Yes. And
if you were to ask me, like, would you go out and buy it for $40? Well, not if I can get it for free.
I know, right?
Right?
Yeah, you bet.
Because sometimes people are struggling. Well, do I get it? Do I use $40 for gas or $40 for Narcan?
Yeah, seriously.
And so a lot of times if it was me, like, I'm going to put gas in my vehicle.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. If anything, we have navigation days. So at navigation day, we have free Narcan.
Really? At the First Presbyterian?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
You can get free Narcan there. That's cool.
Absolutely. So I try to provide free Narcan there to anybody who comes by. It's just filling out a survey.
Okay.
It stays completely anonymous. We don't ask for your name. We don't ask for anything like that. It's just filling out a survey and you get your free Narcan kit. So.
Yeah. Don't you feel like, I mean, anyone who has someone in their family who's maybe struggling with substance abuse, but also people in your family or people you know who just take opioids, right? I mean, it's good to have this on hand, right?
Absolutely. So a lot of times people get scared because they hear the word fentanyl and they're like, oh my God, like you can't touch it or anything. And it's scary. Well, fentanyl is pharmautically made, right? So it's provided whenever somebody's going through a cancer treatment, or opioids are given because somebody just had a super hard surgery. Right. So overdoses can happen accidentally. It's not always like, oh yes, someone is doing it just to get like maybe to do it.
Yeah.
So, if I was to have a surgery, they would probably provide me with an opioid, but it's making sure that maybe I have something in my stomach so it doesn't harm me.
Right.
There's some elderly people who take opioids and maybe they don't remember that they already took one. So they take another one.
That's
and
good.
They accidentally go into an overdose. Opioids don't only come in pill format. So they do have them in lozenges, patches. So it's very important. I've heard a story where an elderly man was given 2 fentanyl patches accidentally, and he went into an overdose.
It's horrible.
So it's not that somebody's like, oh yeah, like it's people just do it to do it.
Right.
No, it's because someone accidentally took more than what they were supposed to take.
Yep.
So that's also going to be important, especially with fentanyl. I mean, yes, we should be more precaution of opioids, but illicit manufactured fentanyl is what's really going out there into these streets.
Okay.
And so a lot of people are needing to be aware of that, because illicit manufactured fentanyl is the one that, yes, 2 milligrams of it can be a lethal dosage.
Yes.
So,
wow.
And that one's being put, of course, in methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin. And so
what's the most common form that it's coming in?
In powder. It's
powder?
Powder. So a lot of times it's being put into cocaine.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, I mean, there's many stories that illicit manufactured fentanyl has been laced into other products, other substances, right? Yeah. So if someone is getting something, they have no idea, well, yeah, they're going to probably go into overdose because it was illicitly
absolutely.
laced.
Yeah.
So it's very important to know that there is Narcan that can help reverse an opioid overdose.
Yeah. And that's a miracle. I mean, is there any other drug where you can overdose and have something like that can reverse it?
That one is out of my scope.
I know, yeah, that's true. You kind of specialize in this, yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know if there is, aside from I was thinking if someone had a cocaine or methamphetamine overdose and they had rapid heart rate, maybe like a benzo or diazepine or something to slow down. But I don't know if that would even work.
I don't know either. But I do know that, for instance, if someone... because I do get asked, well, what if illicit manufactured fentanyl is laced with cocaine and methamphetamine? Mm-hmm. If I was to give them Narcan, would it help them? Well, the thing is, you have a 50-50 chance, because what it'll do, the Narcan will reverse the effects of the opioid. It just unfortunately won't reverse the effects of the other substance.
Yeah.
But that person would still have a 50-50
Yeah,
chance.
I see. Okay.
So yes, it could help that person, but it will absolutely reverse the effects of the opioid.
That's great. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Very cool. So I wonder, do you know this? As far as overdose from opioids in San Angelo or throughout the Concho Valley, is it on the rise or is it decreased? How have overdoses been going here?
So with overdoses, it's pretty hard to kind of get that record of how many we've had in San Angelo.
Okay.
I will say there has been a huge increase overall from 2002 to 2023.
Oh, I'm sure.
There has been at least not 3%, at least 6% increase in overdoses.
Yeah.
Which is pretty scary to know.
It is.
And so, but here in San Angelo, I know that we have a lot of community partners who are helping to try to reduce that or to help somebody in not having an opioid overdose. And even at that, I try to tell our community, if you are needing a Narcan kit, give me a call. If it's either a hotel, if it's just anywhere that they need a Narcan kit, facilities, I've given it to schools, I've given it to law enforcement, EMS. Give me a call and I will definitely help provide Narcan kit.
Yes.
Because the more that there is, the more we can help save lives.
That's exactly right.
So
let me ask you this. Is it possible for somebody who is using an opioid drug and they feel like they've taken too much, can they administer the medication on themselves?
So that's not like a precaution type of thing. No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. The thing is, it's somebody who is already passed out from their overdose to be able to help administer it. So
makes sense.
Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't work like if I do it too much, let me just insert it and then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately it doesn't work like that. You can't self-administer it. So it is somebody who is completely overdosed to be able to do that. Yes.
Something I want to say real quick. So we had a young man on the podcast. He went by Zoe. And I met him at ADAC actually in a class that we were doing. Great guy, great kid, just so full of just enthusiasm and optimism for his recovery. And he was an opioid user, and this was his second or third time going through treatment, and he was trying his hard. He wanted more than anything to get it right. He wanted it. I could tell he wanted it. And it's hard, And
absolutely.
Unfortunately, he had a relapse about a week ago, and he passed away. And it was just, he slipped up and he used, and unfortunately with the kind of drug he's using, that was his last time to ever slip up, And the thing that he said to me though on that podcast during that interview, he said, and I'll never forget this, but he said, he goes, yeah, I did fentanyl. I got some and I snorted it, and I was walking in to my house where I was living, and I looked to my left and I saw my cousins playing video games. And I looked to my right and I saw my bedroom. And I thought, I'm going to go lay down. And then at the last second I said, nah, I'm going to go hang out. So he went and hung out. Well, he ended up overdosing, and his cousins saw him overdosing. And so they took him to the hospital, and it saved his life. So I think, I can't help but think during this time, when people, especially if they're going to relapse, they want to isolate and get away from people. So with something like this, if they isolate, and choose to be by themselves, they could easily, die from a relapse like that. They're not used to that amount of the opioid going into their body anymore.
Absolutely, yes.
But what I just wanted to bring that up because anybody who's in your family, I feel like this is important to have on hand. Just
Absolutely.
even if they're clean, they've been clean for a while, because that's an example of how anybody can slip up. And, you know, if somebody's acting different or isolating, it might be a good time to check on them, because you can save someone's life, and especially having this on hand.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
like a fire extinguisher, or
It
like
is.
you know, like when somebody's having a heart attack and they say to give them aspirin. You know,
Mhm.
it's similar to that, right?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I always let everybody know a Narcan kit isn't just somebody who's going through an OUD or opioid use
Okay.
disorder. It can be a family member. It can be a child who may be going through medicine cabinet and doesn't
That's right.
realize what they've taken. So I always tell people medication, keep it away from your kids. Put it in a safe area, especially even if it's a teenager.
Yes.
A lot
Oh,
of times a parent, you know, they feel like their child's becoming independent and they're maybe 13, 14 years old. They're like, hey, mom, can I take some Advil? And they're like, oh, yeah, just go get into the medicine cabinet. Well, did you see whether they actually took the Advil, how much they took of it, or did they grab something else?
Yeah.
So even though they're teenagers, I'm not saying you can't give them the leniency of independence,
Mhm.
but when it comes to medication, is making sure that they're taking the adequate amount
exactly
of
right.
what they need to take.
Yes.
Because even if a kid was to grab, you know, an opioid pill and take it, because we know kids are always putting things in their mouth,
Yeah.
Narcan can still help them as well.
That's right.
So there's not an
Yeah.
age limit for when it comes to Narcan.
That's great. Yeah.
So whether it's somebody that accidentally took a medication or an opioid and they overdose, Narcan can still help. But
Yeah.
it's super, super important for parents, grandparents, cousins to know medication is always to be given to their child. Because
Okay.
we don't
Yeah.
always know what they're taking.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like you said, teenagers, like I remember, you know, right before the opioid epidemic started, really, that's what my friends would do. Like we'd go over to somebody's house and they'd look in the parents' medicine cabinet and be stealing pain pills, you know?
Yes.
And so, and back then there was
the
no
normalized
Narcan around.
pill parties.
Yeah, exactly,
the pill
right?
parties, yes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is starting to come back around.
Is it really?
It is. And so with illicit manufactured fentanyl,
Interesting.
a lot of people are getting pill pressers. And so nowadays, they're not making them like they used to. Now they're putting like emojis, symbols on them. They're being colored. They're looking like if it's candy. And so if you were to see a bowl and it's colorful, well, yeah, that's going to get somebody's attention. So it's very important to even talk to your kids about medication, about what's going out there. That even if their best friend, Bob or Sue, was to be like, oh, yeah, like my brother or sister took it, like we'll be okay. No, because you don't know what that medication is.
That's right.
So it's very important to talk to your kids.
How early is too early, do you think, to talk to kids about that?
To me, I feel like there's going to be a conversation that you can have with your kids differently, right?
Yeah.
So I think relatively around middle school is very important.
That makes sense.
Like around the 6th grade level and then 8th grade going into 9th grade.
Okay.
Because they're going into that change.
That's right.
You know, from elementary to middle school, it's at 6th grade. So they're trying to figure out who they are, where they fit in, what can they do, they cannot do.
Yeah.
You know, what clique can they join by doing something.
That's right.
And then once they're in 8th grade, about to go to freshman campus, they're like, okay, well, now I'm feeling fit with this clique, but now they're asking me to do something else, or how am I changing? So it's very important to have those important conversations with your kids about medications, to not ever take anything that they don't know, whether it's coming from a friend, or as long as it's medication only given by their parent or guardian, to only take. Because a lot of times they're coming in different colors, they have emojis on them, and so it's catching kids, teenagers' eye.
Yeah.
A lot of kids, you know, curiosity killed the cat.
I know,
you know, and so that's why a lot of overdoses are also happening with teenagers.
I bet.
So it's very important to know that, and of course, talk to your kids about keeping Narcan. Like, if, you know, so a lot of times they're like, well, what if my kid did it and they get in trouble? Well, the good thing is that there's the Good Samaritan law. So
tell us about that, the Good Samaritan law.
Yes. So the Good Samaritan law covers you if you see someone who is in needs 911 help, and you aid them, you are covered by that law. So if I was to see somebody who's overdosing and I have my Narcan kit and I minister it to them, and let's say unfortunately they just didn't make it, I am not liable for that person.
Yeah.
I will not get in trouble because it covers me in knowing that person, I rendered aid to them.
Okay, yes.
So I always tell parents, like, if your kids are teenagers, and we know teenagers, they're going to still go to parties or hang out with friends or something. But if they have a Narcan kit because unfortunately maybe a friend took a wrong decision,
right,
they can help save a life as well. And their kids won't get in trouble.
Absolutely.
So
I think teenagers should have Narcan kits, you know?
Yes. So as long as it's okay with their parents. I mean, it's a medication that can be put off on the shelf. I think it's great for them to know about this. Yes. So
we don't have to carry it around with them, but to know about it, what it's for, how to use it. That kind
absolutely.
of deal. Yeah.
Yes. I went to a middle school, and they were having a basketball team. And let me tell you, teenagers from high school were coming like, can I have an Narcan kit? Can I have an Narcan kit? Because they know how dangerous opioids overdoses are happening. And so they want to be able to help save a life as well.
That's right. Yeah. So that's good. So it's awareness about this is at least spreading and growing. That's
absolutely,
good. Yeah,
yes.
That's great. So what is your primary role at ADAC?
So my primary role is, of course, with the R Corp. I'm the project director there. So I'm in charge of making sure that I provide services as letting them know what ADAC has, helping them provide Narcan kits, resources. So my job is to just kind of make sure that all 13 counties are being covered and know that there's Narcan out there. I visited Sterling City. I've visited Mertz, Menard, Brady, Junction. And I literally go to the county judges. They go to the fire department, EMS, police department, sheriff's department. And I'm like, here's Narcan. Like, how much do you need of it?
Wow. Cool. Yeah.
Because I'm able to do that with the funding that I get from my program.
That's great. So yeah, that's terrific.
Yes, and of course we talk about the whole continuum of care that ADAC has. So we have a prevention team, and it's a great prevention team.
They really are, man. They are cool.
Yes, and so what I love about that is that they're able to go into the schools and talk to kids on how to handle tough decisions and how to build relationships. So
I love this. So talk to me real quick. And I've talked to Eric and a couple people about this, but how is the ADAC drug prevention team different than, let's say, DARE back in the 90s, which is what you and I probably grew up with,
I do remember DARE.
So how is it different and better?
So it's very different because we have a curriculum, and that curriculum, it talks to us on how we're supposed to talk to kids of these ages. So the great thing is, because I started off as a prevention specialist.
You did? Okay, awesome.
Yes, I started off as a prevention specialist, and let me tell you, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I would like to do that job. I
loved it. Yeah. I got to meet so many kiddos, so many great stories, building that relationship with them, and letting them know, like, yes, like, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, y'all like drug people. And we're like, no, don't call us that. Don't call us that. Yeah. We're not that.
Yeah.
But we go in there and we talk to them on how to handle tough situations.
Cool.
We talk to them on how to build those important relationships, whether it be a romantic relationship, whether it be a friendship, identifying toxic traits, how to build a healthy relationship with somebody. We talk to them about their mental health, when to speak about that. That mental health is very important, especially when it comes to teenagers.
Yes.
So our prevention team, they go everywhere. We've been to Menard, we've been to Merton, we've been to Robert Lee.
In all grades too, right? Because that's one thing Eric said is like DARE was a little more based on fear tactics kind of, and it was just 5th grade.
Yes.
Whereas you guys work with all grades, right?
We go from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade.
That is awesome.
And so as long as we're able to kind of go in there and talk to them, we build that relationship. We talk to them about underage drinking. We talk to them about marijuana, how it can affect your body, vapes especially, because that's the most popular thing that's going on.
I bet at each grade level, there's a different way to talk about it, right?
Absolutely,
And
yes.
things are more relevant, like drinking and whatever,
Yes, and so you kind of learn to differentiate the type of language you're using with the different levels that we go to.
I see,
so, of course, in like your middle grade and your high school, you kind of have to learn how to talk their language.
Yeah.
Their language is very, very different. They're like, oh yeah, that's so Riz, and I'm like, what?
Have you ever heard of Skibbity Toilet?
I have not.
You haven't heard of Skibbity
I
Toilet?
have not.
Who's heard of Skibbity Toilet? It's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard
of. That's so Sigma, and I'm
Sigma,
like, you mean like the Kappa Sigma? I'm like, no. They're like, oh no, that's not what it is.
There's also one that's like, it means like we're so screwed. It's not torch, but it's like I can't remember it now. Yeah. But you have to look up Skibbity Toilet.
Skibbity Toilet. I will definitely go. Yes. But we try to talk to them, of course, at a different level. Our busiest time is going to be like Red Ribbon Week.
What's Red Ribbon Week again?
So Red Ribbon Week, we go to their schools and we talk to them why we have Red Ribbon Week. Who is it based off of why we celebrate Red Ribbon Week? So we talk about their story, and it's Kiki Caminera. So how he was a DEA agent trying to stop, of course, illegal drugs coming in the cartel. And unfortunately, he got killed. He was working undercover and he ended up getting killed and tortured.
Wow.
And so in order to memorize him, there's Red Ribbon Week.
Okay.
And so Red Ribbon Week is celebrated nationwide.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes. And so our prevention team actually goes and we go to different levels and talk about Kiki Caminera, why we needed to stay drug free, what was his motive. And his most famous quote, if I'm not mistaken, that he spoke with his mom, even if I'm one person, I want to make a difference.
Wow, that's good.
And
that's
so
true.
We talk to kids on how to maintain a healthy lifestyle without any type of drugs and being drug free, because that's going to be important. The effects of the consumption of substances at a very young age can affect them a lot sooner as they get older.
Yeah.
So our prevention team is super great. They go out into the community. We try to build those connections with our rural counties and having like a splash day or, just having camps. So that's something that we look forward to every year, is that during the summer, they do camps for the community. And it's absolutely free. We have limited seats. We try to announce it.
Yeah.
And it's really great because they build relationships. They build confidence. We have different people from our community talk to them on how to be successful in life.
Awesome.
So yes, our prevention team is absolutely amazing.
That is cool.
I love it. I don't go out into the field.
I want to be involved in that. I want to talk to Eric about getting involved in that somehow.
Absolutely.
I would love to do that. Yeah.
So during our camp, we always ask for like somebody to come and speak to our kiddos on how they started going and how we talk about mental health. So we have somebody that comes and talks to them about mental health, success, and all that. Eric speaks to our kiddos. So our camps are amazing.
Sounds like it.
I love it. I just don't go out as much to the field. Mine is more adult focused now, but it's still, I love my job. I love being able to go out to the communities and just provide free Narcan, build those relationships, letting them know
build
that
relationships and saving lives.
Yes, we have funding for anybody who may need help.
Yes.
So
cool. Lastly, I wanted to ask you, do you have anyone in your family who's struggled with addiction or alcoholism or anything like that?
So I both sides of my family, I do have family members who struggle with alcohol.
Really?
Yes. But of course, in the Hispanic culture, it's very different.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you see what you see and you kind of keep it hush because it's shameful to kind of put them out there.
That's right. So what inspired you to get into this field?
So I actually have a background in social work.
Okay, nice.
Yes. Yeah, cool. I graduated from Angelo State University with my bachelor's of social work in 2020.
Cool.
I've always loved the passion on helping somebody out.
Yeah.
Being that voice or that help that I once wanted when I was a little girl.
Oh, that's good. I like the way you put that. Yeah. I get that.
I've had struggles as well. I mean, about, I want to say like 15, 16 years ago, it's crazy how the world becomes a circle. I got in trouble at school for carrying a certain substance. And that was my first offense ever. And so it was kind of like a wake-up call because I went to Juvenile Correctional Center.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it was It was very scary because,
I bet
again,
it was.
I was in middle school. I was trying to figure out who I was trying
wow.
to get involved
Yeah.
with, like what clique I was
It's
going to
that
be.
time of your life, yeah.
Exactly. Whether I was going to be popular or not popular.
Mhm.
And so, of course, I was told, like, hey, if you do this, like, you'll be part of
Yep.
our popular club. And so I was like, okay, great. Well, unfortunately, that didn't work. So, yeah, in middle school, I was arrested
Wow, yeah.
and I was sent to JJC. And
Mhm.
at that point, I was like, what am I doing?
Right.
I need to do something.
Yeah.
And so I was there. I had to complete 25 hours of community service. And at that time, I completed my service at ADAC.
Oh, you did?
I did.
So
Yes.
wild, right?
Yes.
How that
so
works. That's
it
crazy.
is crazy.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So
wild.
16 years, about 15, 16 years ago, I did my community service at
Yeah.
ADAC without ever thinking that I was going to go back.
I know.
I remember picking up the trash outside,
Yeah.
cleaning like the walls, picking up the trash in the hallway.
Uh-huh.
And
That's
to
so
me, it's like I never thought I would be where I am
know.
and being able to help save a life.
Yeah.
Knowing that my one mistake that I did in life,
That one thing. Yeah.
that one thing
So crazy.
came back, and this is where I
It was
am.
for a reason, yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
That's what
Yeah.
I love. I love to share that,
I
you
like
know.
that.
My probation officer once told me, like, you can either let this mistake define who you are for the rest of your life, or you can do something to change about it.
That's exactly right.
And
Yeah.
so I did. Ever since then, I was like, you know what? My probation officer inspired me, so I went
Wow,
to be a
that's
social
good.
worker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes one
Wow.
adult to give that kid an inspiration,
Isn't
that
the
hope.
truth? Yeah.
And it was for me. That
Yeah.
one person, my probation officer, was the hope that he
It's
gave me.
extraordinary.
And
It's cool.
here I am back at ADAC 16 years later,
Helping give back, helping
Yes.
save lives.
helping save lives.
Incredible.
Yes, absolutely.
God works in some mysterious ways, obviously.
Absolutely.
I love
yes.
that.
Yes. And so that was the story like I would share, because our prevention team also goes to JJC.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's the great thing about prevention. They go anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. Love that.
But that was one thing that I like to share in there. Like there's still hope. Like you can change your life.
Absolutely.
Like you don't have to let your mistake define you for the rest of your life.
Yep.
You can continue writing your story. You can still change. You can still become a great and amazing person and still help somebody, and letting your story be an impact on somebody else.
Great advice. Wise
So-
words right there. That's
Yeah.
cool. So, Lorena, tell us lastly, what are 3 things that you're just genuinely grateful for right now in your life?
Genuinely grateful. I would have to say my ADAC family.
Cool. Yeah.
ADAC has been an amazing place to be.
Yeah.
They're so supportive, so loving. When one needs help,
Mhm.
we all come together to help each
that's
other
really
out.
cool. I love that.
I love that. The other thing I'm grateful for is going to be my family.
Nice. Yeah.
My family has always been my greatest supporters. When I've gone through mental health challenges, when I've gone through college, it's
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah.
And when I wanted to give up, my family was always there. And lastly, I'm grateful that I know God,
Yes.
and
Cool.
that God continues to work on us each and every single day.
That's right. Yeah.
And that because of Him, we're able to provide purpose and give hope to somebody through our words and through our actions that we do.
Good. So good. So well
Yes.
said. That's right. I'm grateful
Yes.
for that too.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So this was fantastic. Thank you, Lorraine. I
Thank-
really appreciate you
thank
coming
you.
in. Yes, to help
Thank
us
you.
talk about Narcan and
Yes.
educate us a little more. All right, guys, you heard it. This was Lorena Corral, and she's from ADAC. Remember, guys, if you need Narcan and you can't afford it, you can get some free Narcan, right? By
Yes.
calling up to ADAC, and tell us how again. You
So
tell
you
better.
would just call ADAC and say, I'm needing a Narcan kit, and then, or even asking for me, Lorena, and saying like, hey, I need a Narcan kit. No question asked. We'll just have you fill out a quick survey and then send you off with your Narcan kit.
It's awesome.
So yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, and thanks to ADAC.
Thank you.
Also, guys, you can pick up Narcan at your local pharmacy. It's about $40, but you get 2 of them. Thank you guys for joining